back into the forge. Drop your fragile ego and listen. Have you ever looked into the eyes of a friend and felt absolutely nothing but cold distance? The fake smiles that never reach their eyes. The hollow compliments disguised as genuine support. The painfully forced politeness. You desperately try to convince yourself that they care. But in the silent corners of your gut, you know the devastating truth. While they are politely shaking your hand, they are secretly praying for your downfall. They are quietly waiting to celebrate your destruction. The most dangerous enemies are never the ones who attack you from the front. They are the cowards who quietly hug you while holding a hidden dagger. You are wasting your precious energy on people who despise you, because tolerating a fake friend just to avoid being alone is the highest form of self-betrayal. Stop drinking the poison. Now, let us decode their first manipulative tactic, the time illusion. Rule number 1, the time illusion. Let us decode their first manipulative tactic, the endless cycle of cheap excuses. We have all heard the exact same lie. I am just so incredibly busy right now. Sorry, I just have a lot on my plate this week. It is the absolute perfect modern excuse, because logically, everyone is actually busy. But pay very close attention to what happens next. You see them constantly posting pictures of their weekends. You watch them eagerly making plans with mutual friends. They somehow have endless time and energy for everyone else in the world. But when it comes to you, they are suddenly swamped. Here is the cold and uncomfortable truth you must deeply swallow. They are not actually too busy. They are simply too busy for you. You have been severely conditioned to blindly accept busy as a valid reason to be pushed aside. But the stoic philosopher Epictetus taught us to relentlessly observe reality as it is, not as we desperately wish it to be. If you look at their actions instead of their hollow words, the brutal message is incredibly loud and clear. You are no longer a priority in their life. Human beings will always ruthlessly clear their schedules for what they truly value. So if they are constantly busy for you, it is never about their time. It is strictly about your worth to them. We desperately hold on to these ghosting friends out of pure nostalgia. We wrongly believe that if we just wait patiently, they will eventually remember our value. But your time on this earth is absolutely finite and precious. Every single hour that you foolishly spend aggressively chasing someone who deliberately treats you like nothing more than an irritating afterthought is a tragic insult to your own self-respect. It is a highly toxic and passive-aggressive game of intentionally keeping you at arm's length, just in case they ever selfishly need to use you in the distant future. A person who only offers you their leftover time is secretly hoping you will eventually just disappear without forcing them to have an uncomfortable conversation. Stop chasing cheap attention. Now, we must examine the silent physical signals that reveal their true disgust. Rule number 2, the physical wall. Let us talk about the elephant in the room, physical contact. We are not talking about romantic relationships here. Physical contact is a basic human interaction, a fundamental way of connecting and building subconscious trust. So, what does it actually mean when someone goes completely out of their way to avoid even the most casual touch? The brutal answer is incredibly clear. They are sending a massive subconscious signal that they are deeply uncomfortable around you. I once had a colleague who seemed to physically recoil every single time I reached out for a simple friendly handshake. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but then I actively noticed a deeply disturbing pattern. They were incredibly warm and highly tactile with everyone else in the room, but when it strictly came to me, it was exactly like I had the plague. It was a deliberate and calculated effort to constantly keep me at a massive distance. Physical contact is how human beings naturally show warmth and genuine empathy. When someone avoids it with you, they are not just avoiding physical touch, They are violently avoiding true intimacy and vulnerability. They are keeping you at arm's length literally and figuratively. The ancient Stoics strictly taught us to pay close attention to objective reality, not what people politely say, but what their physical bodies are screaming out loud. Your primitive brain knows exactly when someone is actively repulsed by your very presence. Do not boldly ignore these powerful biological cues. A person's words can beautifully lie, but their physical nervous system will always expose their true level of respect for you. The moment you force a connection with someone who flinches away from you, you destroy your dignity. When you notice this deeply toxic pattern, you must immediately stop making pathetic excuses for their terrible behavior. Stop desperately trying to completely win over someone who literally cannot stand to be physically near you. A person who consistently treats you like a highly contagious disease is a person who has absolutely zero respect for your actual existence. Build a stronger wall. Now, we must mentally prepare for the moment they quietly erase you from the group. Rule number 3, the silent ghosting. Let us discuss the painful reality of subtle social exclusion. It usually starts with something incredibly small. You casually check your phone and accidentally discover pictures of your friends hanging out at a fun weekend event you were never invited to. When you politely bring it up, they instantly flood you with pathetic and rehearsed excuses. Oh, it was just a completely last-minute thing. We honestly assumed you were way too busy to come anyway. Do not let them playfully insult your intelligence. These are never innocent little accidents. It is a highly calculated and deeply cowardly method of aggressively pushing you out of the group, without ever having the actual guts to tell you directly to your face. They desperately want you to just quietly fade away in the background, without causing a messy social scene. When a group of people truly values your actual presence, they will absolutely move mountains to strictly ensure you are included every single time. For years, I foolishly stayed completely silent whenever I was deliberately excluded. I desperately hoped that if I just kept my mouth shut and played nice, they would magically include me the next time. But staying silent is a massive psychological mistake. It directly gives them full permission to continuously treat you as a worthless afterthought. The great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius heavily despised passive-aggressive behavior. He believed in brutal and transparent honesty. You must boldly call them out on their toxic behavior. Ask them directly, why was I exactly not invited? It will definitely be highly uncomfortable. It will probably make them incredibly defensive and angry, but it aggressively forces them to painfully confront their own toxic cowardice. You absolutely deserve to be completely surrounded by people who are deeply excited to see you, who do not ever make you constantly chase after their incredibly cheap approval. A truly strong mind never begs for a cheap seat at a table where they are secretly unwanted. They simply stand up and build their own empire. Never be a backup. Now, we must expose the hidden venom inside their sweet compliments. Rule number 4, the poisoned apple. Let us decode the highly toxic nature of backhanded compliments. We have all enthusiastically taken a bite of this poisoned fruit. Someone gives you a seemingly nice compliment, but instead of feeling proud, you are left with a deeply bitter aftertaste, like you have just been violently slapped across the face with a soft velvet glove. Wow, this is actually pretty good work for someone exactly like you. You are surprisingly smart for someone with your highly specific background. You stand there completely stunned, desperately wondering if you were just praised or brutally insulted. Here is the exact psychological reality. These carefully crafted statements are simply never actual compliments. They are just highly calculated power plays. They are designed by deeply insecure people to violently pull you back down to their pathetic level. They aggressively see your rising potential your raw strength, and it absolutely terrifies them. So they deliberately wrap their toxic jealousy in a shiny package, hoping you will blindly swallow the poison inside. But the Stoic philosophy fundamentally rejects this emotional manipulation. The philosopher Seneca strictly reminded us that we should absolutely never hand over the keys to our self-esteem to someone who is secretly at war with themselves. A backhanded compliment is never a realistic measurement of your actual worth. It is simply a loud and embarrassing confession of their own deep insecurities. When you finally realize that their hidden insults are just clear reflections of their own fear, the poison completely loses its power. You do not have to nervously laugh it off. You do not have to swallow it whole. The very next time they proudly hand you a poisoned apple, look them directly in the eye and calmly ask, "What exactly did you mean by that?" Watch them violently squirm as they are forced to publicly confront their own disguised hostility. Do not ever let their veiled negativity aggressively dictate how you see yourself. Your core value is absolutely never up for debate. A person who constantly needs to subtly tear you down just to feel temporarily tall is someone who is permanently drowning in their own pathetic insignificance. Spit out the poison. Now, we must examine how they deliberately weaponize humor to publicly destroy you. Rule number 5, the weaponized joke. Let us completely expose the ultimate coward's tactic. We all know that one specific person who absolutely loves to make you the punchline. They ruthlessly pick at your personal quirks, your past mistakes, and your physical flaws. And they always do it with a giant fake smile, proudly declaring, "I am just messing with you." It seems totally harmless at first, but let us not kid ourselves. These relentless jokes are highly calculated digs, cleverly disguised as playful, friendly humor. They are intentionally meant to slowly chip away at your self-esteem, bit by tiny bit. I vividly remember a time when someone incredibly close to me constantly mocked my ambitious personal projects. At first, I nervously laughed it off, desperately thinking it was all just in good fun. But the cruel jokes were strictly aimed at my deepest perceived weaknesses, absolutely never at my genuine strengths. I quickly started doubting my own core worth. Here is the highly controversial psychological reality. People who consistently joke about your deep flaws are aggressively testing the waters. They are actively seeing exactly how much blatant disrespect you will quietly tolerate. It is a very subtle form of toxic emotional manipulation. They are telling you in no uncertain terms that you are physically and mentally beneath them. True friends never need to violently highlight your personal flaws, just to make themselves feel artificially superior. You have been heavily conditioned to blindly believe that if you cannot take a harsh joke, you are simply overly sensitive. But allowing others to constantly disrespect you in jest is a dangerously slippery slope. When you nervously laugh along with them, you are making yourself totally complicit in your own brutal disrespect. You must firmly draw the absolute line right now. The very next time they try to publicly humiliate you for a cheap laugh, do not ever nervously smile. A weak mind nervously laughs at its own public execution, just to keep a completely fake peace with its smiling executioner. Never. There. Punchline. Now, we must immediately face the ultimate betrayal of the coward's whisper. Rule number 6. The coward's whisper. Let us completely expose the ultimate social poison. Gossip. We are not just talking about harmless venting. When someone you consider a close friend actively talks behind your back, they are deliberately sabotaging your reputation. They are ruthlessly weaponizing your private vulnerability for cheap public entertainment. I once confided in someone I deeply trusted about a highly sensitive personal struggle. I desperately needed a safe space to simply unload my heavy burden. But within a few short days, every single private detail was violently twisted, exaggerated, and quickly circulated around the entire group. It was exactly like a toxic game of telephone, specifically designed to publicly humiliate me. Here is the highly controversial psychological truth you must deeply understand. People who constantly gossip about you are never actually sharing genuine concerns. They are actively playing a deeply toxic power game. They use your pain to artificially elevate themselves, while secretly pushing you down into the dirt. It is the absolute peak of pathetic manipulation. They are cowards who are completely terrified of direct confrontation. They would rather hide in the safe shadows, whispering toxic lies, than look you in the eye and boldly speak the absolute brutal, uncomfortable truth. And let us get one highly critical thing completely straight. Someone who happily gossips about others to you is 100% gossiping about you to others. It is a deeply ingrained behavioral pattern, not a simple one-time mistake. A person who smiles directly in your face but aggressively whispers behind your back is not a friend. They are a highly dangerous undercover enemy, slowly destroying your empire. When you finally confront them, they will instantly play the victim. They will pathetically brush it off as just a little bit of harmless talk. But you must firmly stand your absolute ground. Gossip is never harmless. It is a direct and calculated betrayal of fundamental human trust. Do not ever let them gaslight you into thinking you are overreacting. A coward who lacks the basic spine to respectfully face you in the blinding light is choosing to live like a pathetic rat hiding securely in the dark shadows. Burn there, toxic. Now, we must permanently brace ourselves. For the absolute ultimate act of betrayal. Rule number 7. The ultimate desertion. Let us get brutally real. Nothing accurately reveals the true hidden nature of a relationship, quite like a massive personal crisis. When the path gets incredibly dark and difficult, you instantly find out who your real friends actually are. So what exactly does it say about someone when they completely vanish the exact moment you deeply need them the most? It is not just a simple sign of harmless flakiness. It is a blinding neon warning sign that they were never invested in you to begin with. When someone pulls a cowardly disappearing act during your darkest hours, it is the ultimate psychological betrayal. I learned this devastating lesson the incredibly hard way. During a severely rough chapter of my life, I naturally reached out to the specific people I considered my closest allies. I expected a basic level of human support. But instead, I was met with deafening silence. The people I thought would stand fiercely by my side suddenly had every pathetic excuse in the book. I am so overwhelmed at work right now. I will definitely check in with you later. Spoiler alert, they absolutely never did. People love to loudly broadcast how much they care about you when the sun is shining and everything is incredibly easy. But true support is never about simple convenience. It is about aggressively showing up when it is highly uncomfortable, and when it is the absolute last thing they want to do. The ancient Stoics clearly recognized this harsh reality. They warned us to never build our inner fortress on the highly unpredictable foundation of other people. A person who completely abandons you in the devastating storm has permanently forfeited their basic right to ever enjoy your sunshine again. It is deeply painful to accept, but their sudden cowardly absence is actually a massive gift. It brutally forces you to stop investing your precious finite energy into fair weather friends who view your pain as an inconvenience. A fake friend only loves the successful and happy version of you, but they will ruthlessly leave you to completely bleed out alone on the battlefield. Let the cowards run. Now, we must immediately secure your mind with the final Stoic commitment. Here is the ultimate Stoic truth you must accept today. The great Marcus Aurelius taught us this timeless lesson. Walking away from toxic relationships is never an act of weakness. It is the highest form of self-respect. You cannot control their fake smiles, their hollow compliments, or their cowardly whispers, but you have absolute control over your own boundaries. Your inner peace is an impenetrable fortress, and you must ruthlessly defend the gates from anyone who brings disguised poison. Do not ever apologize for completely removing dangerous people from your life. You absolutely deserve a circle of genuine allies who celebrate your true strength. Keeping a fake friend around just to avoid feeling lonely is the exact same thing as willingly drinking poison because you are thirsty. Protect your inner empire. If you are finally ready to ruthlessly cut off the fake friends and stand strong alone, subscribe to this channel right now and type the word empire in the comments below to lock in your absolute stoic commitment. Stay strong and completely unbothered by their absolute silent departure.